see what's hollering, see if anybody's out there. A lot going on. Um, so we talking about um started come on and do a little chat. Got like an hour. Not gonna be on too long. Got some stuff to do, but I'm gonna see what's up. What's up? My timing is perfect. Timing is perfect. Let's see. Let me get this question out real quick. And you can answer this question. I just got to working on my videos. And it should come. I might do that one. I'll come back on that one. I wrote you back. I wrote you back. I know what Kevin Willis was saying. Um, if you took away the 3-point attempts, and I got it right away. Because so sports and fitness, that brother, he does his videos, and he had a real good video where he was calling he was saying that LeBron is like Karl Malone, updated. That would be his prototype. Well, Karl Malone didn't shoot a lot of threes. He made long twos. So what Kevin Willis was getting at, and I'll probably do the video after I finish this one. I agree. But I wouldn't put that as a vote because you first of all, you had to be around to understand the game back then. There's some people who wouldn't, and they might think Kevin Willis is hating. But and they also would understand that um let me explain this. All due respect to Dale Curry, who was a very good 3-point shooter and could shoot. He was not his son. His son changed the landscape of basketball. His son made logo threes, 94 feet court shots, anywhere could hit you and strike you. So LeBron James was going behind Reggie Miller or Chuck Persons in the 90s or Dale Ellis or those cats. He wouldn't get the kind of run he did by shooting 5 threes a game. Because all the coach would put him in would be make, okay, 5. You got to make two out of 5 we can live with. If you don't make 2 out of 5, you're only going to get 3 pointers off in a game. It's not so that's the difference in what you're dealing with. So if you take 6 or 9 points off of LeBron at his apex average, you're in the 19 to 24 range. That's a fact. So do the math. The math makes sense. I know exactly what Kevin Willis is saying. I ain't got no problem. I don't like to use the term cheated the fans because Embiid is a league MVP, but I know exactly what you're saying. Pookie Snow played out his mind, and Pookie Snow was a third tier player at best, but he did play hard. And it's unfortunate and it's not fair. But I'm not gonna get into well, it wasn't a shot clock. The defense zoned in on you. You had guys like Adu Raul who shot the 3 ball. You had guys, but you had specialists. When Tim Legler had a percentage the way he played, everybody wasn't gunning threes. Now, when they had that 1 year, and I think it was right when you were born, is that 1 year, Jordan had a high percentage, his highest ever, because they brought the 3-point line in. So they had a little romanticism with it. But even that was nothing compared to what you got today. Even with them bringing the line in, it was nothing like you got today. And so if you put them back in that era as a small forward, power forward, the way guys would bang you and hit you, he ain't shooting those kind of threes like that. I remember when Elijah one made a 3 and Shaq made 1 3 in his career. That was like novelty. It wasn't the norm, it was novelty. Yeah, a guy like Arvidas Sabonis could shoot outside. Big guys could shoot, take you out, Duncan, Garnett. But it wasn't, you weren't living by it. If Karl Malone had the luxury of shooting 5 or 6 threes to complement his free throw going to the hole, he might have added another 2 or 3 more points to his scoring average. Who knows? But that wasn't what was acceptable by David Stern's NBA. It wasn't like John Starks was the cat. And that's the difference between today and back then. So um It's hard pressed to compare. That's why you can't compare eras. But I know what Kevin Willis is saying. I get it because they would have put some wood on LeBron. He'd been too scared to come inside. So, oh yeah, well he had that remark he said about Eric Bieniemy, and I saw that mess too. And I did comment on his Fox Sports podcast thing about it. I watched it. He had a lot to say about Eric Bieniemy. He says, "I'm not a racist. I'm not that." I said, "Well, if you got to say you're not." Oh, he basically said that there wasn't no race narrative about Bieniemy getting let go by UCLA, and then of course, Jason Whitlock had to chime in. Oh, I thought you'd be in up on this. Oh yeah, Doug Gottlieb and Whitlock had a lot to say about Eric Bieniemy. They had a lot to say. They couldn't wait to say it wasn't racial when it's absolutely racial because these cats that Rule got to leave Carolina Panthers, got to go Nebraska. Nobody said nothing. Urban Meyer stunk it up in Jacksonville, went back to college. Nobody said nothing. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And I did a video about Eric Bieniemy, but I didn't go into about the Doug Gottlieb thing and Whitlock. But I made note of it. Because I knew when you mentioned it to me, and appreciate you mentioned to me about Bieniemy getting let go by UCLA, I did my research. And lo and behold, the usual hating suspects couldn't wait to pounce on Eric Bieniemy. They couldn't wait. And Doug Gottlieb, he says, "I'm not a racist. I'm not." You should check out the video. Type in Doug Gottlieb and Eric Bieniemy and not racial. You'll see what I'm talking about. Him and Whitlock, and I mean, it's sad. And then Jalen Rose had an old clip where he said that Eric Bieniemy is the Mark Jackson of coaches. That was an interesting take. So I did my research as I usually do. I wanted to see what was going on out here because I don't just do everything off the top of my head without doing some consulting and some backing. Because when I go actual and factual, I add my own spice to it, and then I see what these haters and these congratulators are doing. So then I can make a happy medium. But, oh, buddy, Eric Bieniemy thing got him talking. So, yeah, Gottlieb's always been a BDI. Even Nick Wrong called him out. So, if Nick Wrong gets conscious, something ain't right with you. Yeah, what happened was it got I was watching Indisputed and it got sent to me with David Duke's new face. And David Duke done had so many new faces, I forgot what he looked like. Cause they didn't took all the wrinkles and the twinkles and that beady-eyed rascal. They got that turkey looking like Mr. Clean in the face. So I saw that mess and I was like, See, and like I said in the video, I don't care about if you're conservative or not, because black folks was conservative before the Kennedys and Dr. King and all that. That's nothing new. Republican, if that's what you is, that's what you is. But just like the Starburst crew, don't wear it as a means to think that you're gonna get some kind of acceptance that you go out of your way to go out of your way. That's what all the problem I got with it. Vote for who you want or what you want. But don't throw it like that's the end all be all that you really gotta just extend yourself like you on the clothing line, like you gotta press down that and that's what they do. I watched them turkeys, some of they stuff they didn't had on there. And they do anything for clicks and views. But I'm gonna tell you something. Don't be like Candace Owens and get out there and then them folks get done with you. Then what? 'Cause you know you gotta come back home. Someone gonna get you. But that was pretty bad what they did with grinning to him. I mean, and David Duke been around for so long. I swear that guy's gonna be about 900 years old. Cause I didn't see that turkey since I was a kid. And I'm always amazed at how people I'm like, wow, this guy just he stays around forever. And ain't nothing changed. But when you get people who want to shuffle, that's what you get. All right. College football, 83% say no. Okay. Y'all must be Oregon fans. I'm going to tell you something. I had a great time with college football this weekend. Boy, oh boy, a lot going on. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, he do. Oh, yeah, he do. But he'll get on their show. See, there's that old video on Real One with him and Jesse Jackson from '77. Now think about it. Yes, he is. He's still around. What's up, RP? How you doing? Cats don't go nowhere. Cats don't go nowhere. You know how it is. They don't go nowhere. Shuffling and hating stick around forever and a day. They'd be fighting it like gravity. College football was something else this weekend, I tell you. Gonna be interesting. We talked about Penn State. They lost. Played good. I'm not 100 on Oregon, but they might win. See, this is the problem. There is no definitive college team that I'm like, even though Oregon's undefeated, I ain't blown away by nobody. Somebody could get had. And Georgia's dangerous enough that they get in the mix, they could turn around. We knew it. You know Melvin Franklin. Melvin Franklin is like clockwork. He gonna always lose those 2 games. He gonna get beat by y'all, and he gonna lose somebody else, and then they win like they 10, 11 games. They get the Orange Bowl or the Fiesta Bowl, and they happy to be the 5th, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th team. It's the same old thing with Penn State. He got exposed, and they ain't beat nobody, and they got beat up. Georgia, if it wasn't for Alabama, Georgia might only have 3 losses. Um, because it was segregated. But after Russell and them won, and then all the athleticism of a Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, or Oscar Robinson, a Nate Thurman, um, uh, you had Sam and Casey Jones, all those guys. You only had a handful of teams. The NBA was very segregated. That's why. That's why. That's the best answer I will give you because they were segregated. Every time they behind the 8 ball with something, dominance comes along. And they got it, and as time went on, they were like that. The NBA had an issue with having predominantly black teams. That's what the joke was in the '70s about the New York Knicks. They were scared of having an all black team. I told you when David Stern came to the NBA to sell the game that black players could be dominant and lead the way. That's why Michael Jordan was so big for the league. Dr. J was the one initially, but the Jordan thing was a whole different level because that's after Magic and Bird. But again, it's always been racially based. It's nothing new. Everything in America is race based because it goes to work. And if it makes dollars to make sense, they know the difference between black and white. People who tell you otherwise are in denial. It always comes down to race, sex, and in class. Race is first. Because of the success of what happened, because the way the game was played, and then you had to acknowledge the street level of it. When the ABA took over, Dr. J was the biggest thing going. And then you had the cats like George Gervin, Moses Malone, George McGinnis, the Artist Gilmore, those guys. They had to acknowledge it, just like college football until Bear Bryant. Yeah, Bear Bryant didn't want to have, they had to integrate in the 60s. They had to integrate with college football. Some of these schools didn't have black players. You got to do your, when I say these things, I'm not, I'm keeping it real. Please feel free to do your research because I don't make this up top of my head. When you understand in 60 years, he's trash. When you understand in 60 years that we're only talking 60 years, we're not talking 100 years, 90 years, 80 years. We're talking 60 years. That's somebody's lifetime. So somebody about 75, they can come along and tell you the same exact thing I'm saying. And if they got good memory and good health, they can tell to you even more raw than I will because of what the circumstances on here. But I'm just keeping it 100. They were real petty and picky about black athletes. And integration is a modern thing. It's not like this has been around forever in a day. Jackie Robinson is still less than 80 years old in Major League Baseball. Let that sink in. NFL, NBA with the progress. We're not talking 100 years old. And that's not old either. So get at me when you're talking about something like an Emancipation Proclamation or something that's 150 to 200 years old. Anything that's 100 years and less, that's still fresh. And them good old boys in that system was what they were. That's not that far removed. So think when you look at the ownership, general managers, and the stuff that we still complain about, and you just now starting to see more black quarterbacks, but you still got a lack of black managers, general managers, and owners. Think about it. How progressive are they? Ask yourself that question. That's why it's still a good old plantation. Yeah, Andrew Schultz is trash. I mean, messing with Kendrick like that, but that's what they got him there for. They always have a cat like that they push agenda. Got money on him, and that's what they want. So nothing new. I'm on here for like an hour or so today, and I'll probably be on longer tomorrow. Today I'm on for a mini because I got to do some football, do some stuff. I did got some videos up, so feel free to check them if you get a chance. I got some videos up that I got through talking on some stuff, but yeah, yeah, he was. They tried to make him out like he was, I don't know, chemical imbalance or something. They made him out he was decent enough to play. But see, Stephen A. Smith went on his show was clowning his arm motion, which had nothing to do if the guy could win games or not. ABA put a foot on them because black players, the creativity and the audience, it came down to commerce. The NBA was on this white way stoic mindset. You see Dr. J with a big old afro hanging on the rim. They had to make a change. They had to. It wasn't that they wanted to, but they had to. If they didn't get with the program, they were gonna they're gonna be problematic. So that was one of the problems that they ran into. They had to get with the program or lose out. So that's what they did. It was political maneuver. It wasn't because they wanted to. I think they held against Dr. J too. Yeah, he went to the Eagles. I think he did. Yeah, he won a game on a Sunday night football game. He had this real funny laugh he would do, but they just didn't want him around. That's all it was. It's always uh, a political move. Um, it's always something that has nothing to do with the actuality. So that's what they wanted. They wanted him to, you know, that's what it was. It was evolving around that. That's what it was. You know. Um, but yeah, the NBA was a business. It was, and that's why if you remember, Pat Boone got in the NBA at ownership. Wilt Chamberlain, a lot of them went over there. The NBA, people always talk about Wilt not maybe being conscious. He was conscious enough to go to the ABA. They had more opening. They had more creativity. Cat spoke out about the NBA being very whitewashed. And nowadays, it's funny when you watch the NBA, people are mad because it's not stricter. Ain't that ironic? But that's because they brought the N1 mixtape. They got a lot of old ABA ways. They got a lot of what we call anything Barnum and Bailey circus. They've sold this facade that they're really open and free and easy, but that's what they're doing. It's just that, like I tell you all the time, if you've got something that you can counter what the establishment is, you can be successful. But they gonna want to buy it. They do it with everything. They did it with baseball. They did it with the football, with the AFL, NBA, the ABA, and you've seen it with golf with the PGA tournament. You got money, you got something that's working. They watch it. That's why the XFL. That's why you've had different football leagues that have jumped off because now they got them like they're like the G League or something. There's always been a counterculture, just like the European basketball leagues, all that stuff. It's nothing new, nothing new at all. But it's not like some junior league either because these cats are playing there. And now that they're getting the bag in college, they don't have to get pimped. They can actually, so that's why it's something that should have been there all along. But that's what's up with that, though. So, yeah, he was forced out, though. And everybody just thinking that if played arguably the greatest college football game ever. Because I'm going to tell you something, there are cats who didn't have half the success. Well, he did pretty good in the NFL, but he got ran out. It put five best AV players at the time against five best who won. Um, it's a dangerous game as far as the Bills and the Rams. It's a dangerous game because you got to play Detroit next week. So the Rams, don't sleep on them. They dangerous. ABA, because Dr. J was dominant, yo. Um, the thing about it is this: his style was so pivotal. Um, it's one of those things that you had to kind of take a consideration. And I think that at that time in that juncture, that they would have definitely have pulled that off. I think it would have been kind of tough. Um, but I think it would have been something that they would have, I think they could have done it with that. I think it could have done it like that. He was great. He um had MVP seasons. He was quite dominant, but that style, asking the question, that style when he had gone up against the likes of when they brought in Moses Malone. Remember, Moses had come over from the ABA, and Moses was a big integral part. So I don't know if Kareem how he would have done against it. He was big, but let's see. There was a lot of parity in the 70s. The Knicks had Walt Clyde Frazier, those guys. I don't know if they would how they would have done against the Dr. J. I don't know how they would have done against George Gervin with a prime and peak. I don't know if you put Moses Malone. See, I had some names I could throw at you. Those guys with David Thompson. Come on now. It'd have been tough. His underrated skill that he doesn't get talked about enough, he could actually shoot. He could shoot. Oh, yeah, and I forgot to tell you about Marvin Barnes, who was a bad dude. And there was a lot of it, you know. Yeah, Kareem could actually shoot. He could pass. He was underrated. He could pass, but he could shoot. He was he was more fundamental than he ever gets credit for. Matthew Stafford is dangerous enough to catch fire. I don't take it. It's a trap game because if they get those receivers going, you could have problems. Don't want to play them lightly. If you get them, you want to beat them. That's not why they lost to Detroit. I mean, they got hurt, but that's not why they lost. He knew that it was a physical series because the '88 series they got very fortunate by a couple calls, and he worked them because it was more physically taxing than playing against Boston. Detroit really got at him, so I know what he did, and I do think he did overboard. But that's not why they lost to the Pistons because Zeke outplayed them. To be honest with you, in '88, and they got robbed out of a couple calls. It was that nip and tuck. Chuck Daly made enough adjustments. It was that nip and tuck. He was a physical problem for Kareem. He knew how to body him up. He made Kareem go get 10 pounds and put on some strength against him. He did. He was a problem. There's a lot of guys that were in the ABA that were ready and NBA ready. And I remember I told you they had the 3-point line in the AB before they had the NBA. You had guys like Larry Brown was associated with the ABA. You had a lot of guys that could have easily. It was tough. But Utah never had the right center. That's what it's always hurt Utah. Karl Malone and Stockton never had a legit center. Their fortunes may have been different. Remember, they did 3 Western Conference Finals in a decade run. Think about it. Some people don't look at it as a big deal because that is an accomplishment. It's tough to get that deep, especially with the competition. So imagine if Karl Malone and them weased themselves into the finals. Never had the right center, and that's when you needed a center. Of course, if you had Stockton and Malone today, they coming out the West, and they probably win today because the center position. But at that time, they needed someone that was at least a second tier. All they had was what I call serviceable centers. Mark Eden and Ostertag and Foster were not going to get the job done, and it showed. That's the only thing I got knocked against Jerry Sloan. He got stuck with them white cats that was cornhusker type turkeys who just didn't have no fight, no bite, and they came up short. So the Lakers prevailed. But make no mistake about it, you get that center position for Malone and Stockton, their history might be different. It's true. Those them cornhusker type of centers they had, them cornflake turkeys. None of them had that. They had no pop in them. They had no pop in them. What's happening? How you doing? Long time no see. How you doing? Glad to have you on. It's been a while since I seen you. Thank you for coming through. I saw it. I had did a video about it already though. If you watch my videos, I already talked about the kickers are just like the NBA shooters. And I did comment on this video, but I already did a video like that. Because I talk about football a lot, and I've dissed the kickers. I had a video about a week or two ago where I talked about how the kickers, it's just like the NBA shooters. Can't nobody shoot a 10 to 12-foot shot. Can't no kickers make anything 35 yards and in. Everything's 50, 60 yards, just like the three-point ball. So I made that comparison already. And I did comment on this video, but I did my own already. I did that quite a while ago. I've talked about it. I've done it about how whack these kickers are. For how long as he holds up. As long as he holds up. You know, I don't want no game to come down to no kicker though. There's a lot of poochies out here. Um, the Chargers need the game, but you never. Kansas City always finds a way to win. The Chargers need the game though for mental stability. And what I mean by that is this: not so much this year, but next year, because I think the next year or two is where you're gonna see the Chargers make a move. But they need to win the game. If they lose this game tonight, it looks like they had a cute season. But it's gonna be hard to beat Kansas City. Come on now. Mahomes and them always find a way to win. And when they need to make a statement, they make a statement. And gotta remember something. All the Kansas City gotta do is win another game or two. And worst case scenario, they'll be second seed in the AFC. So they're not gonna lose too many games. Yeah, well, kids were always touching stuff, and it was real funky and debris. I know the playpen. I know exactly what you mean. That's a done thing. It's tough for some teams. It depends on how healthy you are, because health is wealth in NFL. Health is wealth. Hottest team going in, how healthy you are. That's what it comes down to. Teams that aren't healthy, they in trouble, and you can lose somebody quickly as long as it doesn't compromise anybody. It all depends. You know, depends on which teams we're talking about. Thanks for letting me know about the McDonald's though. Yeah, I just think it was nasty and gross. That's why they probably got tired of finding stuff in this by the slides and on the swings and stuff. We lost rice. Yeah. Which rice are you talking about? Please continue to hit the like and hit the membership and subscription. I will be on for 1 hour today. I got another 30 plus minutes. Do you think they're in person? Of course they are. It's junk food and it's not trying to encourage. They don't sell no veggie burgers there. They don't cut the potatoes in half. They don't give you lettuce and tomato on your sandwich. So yeah. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Fast food is not really trying to encourage the betterment of you. So no. Ask Ted that question. Ask Ted that question. See what he say. No, no, no. Because they didn't lost the two top two ranked teams. How they gonna be top four when they got beat by Oregon and Penn State? They lost to two teams that were considered, and they're gonna get looked at their schedule, and then that's where Georgia might take them over. It's gonna be something that because Penn State's gonna probably fall to 6, 7. Something. Uh, they suck. All them BET award shows after a while are just politics. It's hard to get excited. Well, it's not good for adults because people are allowed to be removed from having human contact. They are Zoom school, Zoom reality. less social skills. That's done on purpose, though. It's a calculated move. They go grow up in a technological world. That's what they do. So it's done like that on purpose. It's done like that on purpose. Nothing is the way it once was. That's a fact. Kids today don't even know about a record store. So movie store, video store. So, you know, parents are encouraging it. That's the world we live in. Please continue to hit the poll and hit the like up, please. And I welcome that because the more that you do, I appreciate it. Yeah, Ted, that's all I got to say about 'em. I mean, I don't really pay the BET Awards on. When Frankie Beverly and them couldn't get no award, a lot of acts that should be acknowledged don't. So what's happening? So I don't really, I don't really support watching them shows. Again, that's not a, the ask me who's the best is debatable because what's my criteria? Am I talking about the best as far as a Heisman Trophy, or am I talking about the best as far as an NFL prospect? Can't say. And to be honest with you, I can't really even answer that question because I have to see how this college football tournament goes, how teams play. You know, it's already heading that direction. Um, and again, Shador is going to get a lot of attention. It's hard to say because again, I told you it all depends on what system they get, where they are. So it's hard to say. It's already there though. Yep, like the Philly man. Um, most of them overrated. Most of the ones you see in the last 25 years are overrated. Jay Z, all them Grammys is comical. Is he really that good? Has he really made that difference musically? Is Eminem really that good? Has he made a difference musically? Um, is Kendrick really that good to have 17 Grammys? Drake's got all them streams. I mean, it depends on what your criteria is. I think most of them are overrated because the playing field is different. Some of these cats benefited from hip hop being considered pop music. So they benefited with manipulated sales, streams, and also album sales. Oh yeah, you rather would be. Of course. Well, he once also said I could dump. He says to be like to leave Kweli. He says I had to dump down. He knows that he has to sell a certain facade because intellectually doesn't sell records. See, I can sit here and tell you how great Rakim would poetically run circles around him, but you don't care about Rakim because Jay Z is sold, and that's what people want. You got to have hits, but they also want you to do that extra. And if you compromise, you compromise. Well, they're gonna always use troops. That's not gonna change. Yeah. J. Cole's not well, everybody's compromised. I think they all overrated because let's be realistic. That's the only form of music that they're pushing people on to buy. You don't have R&B and bands and groups and people like that. So we don't. So again, it's a very how you look at it. Jada is pretty strange. It's some strange stuff. It's different now. Drake sells streams, but that's what people want. Again, it's a system that's running stuff. We don't really know. When you got these systems out here with these streams, we don't know who's really what. Yep. So the Gottlieb video was, I'm not racist. I'm yeah, okay. I'm not gonna say he made him relevant again, but let's just say that he got Kendrick. They struck something that made Kendrick pop. Because how can he make somebody relevant again when Kendrick was at the Super Bowl at 2023? And Kendrick still had hits, records. Kendrick had a record that was going to do good. It's just that he came out with a song that blew up. But does that mean that relevance in the sense that he made him hotter than he was? But Kendrick never fell off though. Yeah, I remember. My grandfather was in World War II. And no one has said nothing. Charmaine, which I did a video about Charmaine the God, ain't say a word. He might not be. He's selling right now. I like Kendrick, but I don't think that he's the end all be all, but I like him though. You know. It's one of them cases where he's got some stuff I like, and I think he's really happening for now. But you gotta remember, I grew up watching Ice Cube, and I know he couldn't hang no with no Cube. He's not selling because of Drake, because you forgot that K Dot been out for 15 years. It's not like some cat that jumped on a mixtape and freestyle and all of a sudden, because he had one spit a hot verse that people acting like they. Yeah. Kendrick is not some spring chicken. He been in the game for 15 years. Come on now. King Kunta was out 10 years ago. And if you know anything about rappers being out at least 10 years, that's the equivalent to 20 for a pop singer R&B artist. Because you don't get that long legs as a hip hop, as a rapper. You don't get it. Your career, you spit them verses, you're seeing it more now. Like, so for instance, if you're a hip hop head that's about 35, I'll say if you're 35 or if you're 40, you're seeing rappers who have 20 years careers. It wasn't the case if you're over 45. This is recent. But even that comes with a time limit. They're not going to be keeping you on. He didn't put more people on than I can name a lot of people that put people on. That doesn't make him great. Snoop put on a ton of people too. What's your point? So did Ice Cube. So did Tupac. So did Biggie. What's the point? Well, that's a sad commentary because they both of them in the same boat and they bought and paid for. They all plants. They all plants. Hip hop is a plant industry. You gotta remember something, government, and you gotta remember what the private prisons and what they're selling. They all plants. I like Biggie's humor and his storytelling, but you could say he was. And I'll never know what he really would have been like without association with Puffy because Puffy commercialized him. They all plants. Yeah, and he worked with Puffy, and Puffy was nailed to the cross in the video, and Puffy beat up. Read the story. He didn't like his depiction in the video. Steve Steimer, one of them cats. The cat had a pumpkin head, and he beat the doorknobs off of him. Nos works for the industry, bought and paid for, does ghost work, done stuff. Nothing different. Yeah, but he's owned by the industry too. He won't be no MVP because Jokic is having a better year, but both those teams are garbage. But he's playing better, you know. So I'm not gonna be dealing with no trolls today. It's Sunday. Gotta go. They all are. Clive Davis runs a lot of people in the industry. That's nothing new. If you have to have a lawyers in the industry, they run the business. Giannis would been if he had been playing with consistent. Thank you so much for what you're saying. I try to keep it 100. I'm not going to sugarcoat these things, and we can talk about balance. Please do. I like Giannis a lot, but I think Giannis might want to consider going somewhere else. He ain't gonna win with Dame Lillard. He ain't gonna win with Doc Rivers. Michael Wilbon. I did a video talking about, maybe he come help LeBron, go help Steph. Now, Giannis with Steph would be sick. Appreciate you. Thank you. That would be sick. Giannis is probably the second best player. I got Jokic first. Shea Chris Alexander. I got SGA probably third. Because I like Shea. Shea's getting slept on. Shea would be my MVP. They owe Shea an MVP anyway. And OKC is the best team in the West. They are due. He is due. How many times are you going to ignore Shea Alexander, who to me leads better by example because he's playing a guard position. Jokic and Giannis are bigs. They're not leading it like this cat is. Shea is playing MVP worthy. So if I had to vote for an MVP right now, it'd be Shea Alexander. And this is without Chad Hogan. So think about it. They don't even have the best big in. Shea's always bring numbers. We'll see how it turn out though. Okay, keep on talking. I got 20 minutes before I roll. Let's keep talking. If you got anything to say, let's do it. 10 votes are in, 80% say no. People are happy with the college football as it is. Okay, that's fair now. Okay, anybody got something to say? Come on, come on, come on. I'm gonna give you a chance to come on. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at, Ted? Where you at? 8. I had to run that one troll out of here. They got a chance because of the Penn State factor and because of Texas. Yeah, don't blow it. You might fool around and get a national championship game. What I'd make better about the NFL, I would add on field. I think I would add um I think overtime. That's what I do with overtime. I'd bring it at the 35-yard line. Both teams start 35. That's what I do. Are they more of a dark horse than Minnesota? Because Minnesota's more disrespected than Pittsburgh is. Sam Darnold is disrespected. The Vikings are a 10-win team. And they got a top tier receiver. And they got legit defense. So to me, that's the dark horse. Pittsburgh ain't winning those to get to the Super Bowl. They're not getting to the Super Bowl. They're not better than a healthy Kansas City team that's there, and they're not better than Buffalo. But if they go and win it, and Tomlin moves up as the top 6 or 7 greatest coach ever, that's how much I would say about that. It's frustrating because of lack of common sense, but again, that's got nothing to do with the actual play. It's got to do with the powers that be. That's what they want. They ain't that stingy, but they're good enough. But are they really that stingy? I don't think so, because they can be had. They weren't stingy against Washington. They get ran up and down on the field. Pittsburgh has lost. They're not the kind of defense that holds you to 17 or less. You know, and they got a good team, not great. So I love no huddle offenses, and a lot of these teams need to do it. I mean, you're in an era now where you can't hardly touch the quarterback. So why would you think twice about hurrying up and move the rock? Okay. Please continue to hit the like, hit the subscribe, and also if you got any questions, thank you for the people that are coming through because the offensive line sucks. And the problem is they don't have the receivers to really make you pay. I bet you they may bring it back in the postseason. Bet you they'll run some kind of gimmick. I'm sure Andy Reid is going to concoct something. But the problem is that you got to have the pieces in place. It's a big difference with what you got going. So D Hop, they get it going, they might do it again. Don't be surprised. They give you multiple sets, but I also think that with Travis Kelsey on the downside, There's a lot of reasons why they can't do certain things that they did, and it's showing. But I'm surprised somebody like Dan Campbell doesn't implement it for the Detroit Lions. I really am. I think Justin Herbert should do it for the Chargers, and the Rams should do it too, because there's certain type of offenses, and I think Kyler Murray would benefit from it. Those kind of quarterbacks would. Some other teams would get your butt embarrassed. If you're not projecting on your running game and you're kind of sloppy, I think Atlanta should do a no huddle. Kirk Cousins then would be effective. Yeah, and Jordan Love is effective in rhythm. That's why he gets better as the season goes on. Houston should do it too, especially when you got it in Cincinnati. Burrows would be Burrows would probably be the scariest. So there you go. But sometimes you got injuries and you get nicked up. It depends on what you can do down checks though, but you gotta have the right players and system and personnel for it though. If you don't get the right personnel and you get hit, you in trouble. And it can make you look tired quick. So you're gonna burn a lot. Okay. But it was a different era when people used to do it. So we'll see. We'll definitely see. Yeah. Looking forward to some football today. Glad there are people coming on the whole channel. Well, I think when they went against Clemson. Mhm. But again, college football is different than it was. It changed. That's why Nick Saban, Debo, and the Georgia head coach get props. It's more prorated. That's why Colorado will bump up. I'm gonna tell you like this: Deion Sanders can coach, but the game has changed so much that it's more prorated to push guys in certain directions. If you halfway have the right talent and skill, guys, you can look good. Certain things that you can do that you used to didn't do. College football has changed in 10 years' time. It changes. You know, they still beat you up the middle and physical, but it's different now that you got more gunslingers. Well, I would throw the Buffalo Bills with OJ Simpson and Thurman Thomas, but that's just me. Um, or OJ Simpson and Andre Reed, but that's just me. If I had to pick out of that, I'm taking Minnesota because Moss and AP were now Moss and Barry and AP are more closer than Calvin is to me. Moss was a better receiver than Megatron. Barry Sanders had AP, but AP could be at my bottom end of my top 10 ever. Barry would be closer to my top 3 or 4. Moss is closer to my top 2 to 3 receivers. Megatron's on the bottom. No, it wouldn't do him no good. The type of team he could coach in NFL would have to revolve around someone like Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. He need a mobile quarterback, a young team, and a program that would, you know, and not something you got to start from scratch. It's too much work. Well, Andre Reed was considered very good. I think Andre Reed was more consistent than Megatron. He went to 4 Super Bowls. And he went to 3 more than Randy Moss. Now, not talent wise, but success wise. So that has to count for something. Jimmy Smith, because Urban Fryer did get a lot out of his career. But when you played for Jacksonville and you had what I call a pretty good quarterback, Urban Fryer had better shine and showcase. Jimmy Smith, anybody who plays in Jacksonville is usually not going to get much shine. That's just a fact. Don't ask me why, they just don't. It's not good for your football resume. Just saying. Because Tom Coughlin went to the Giants and won those 2 Super Bowls. No one talks about him going to the AFC Championship game with an upset. And with Tony Baselli had love, but Mark Brunell was never that dude. No one ever gets excited about Jacksonville Jaguars, but their receiver core was tight, and Fred Taylor was bad. Just saying. I got Daryl Green. You know I'm gonna take Dale Green. I'm almost take Dale Green over a lot of people. He ran your butt down. He could cover, and he played forever. And the day, and he was a winner. Champ was tough, but Dale Green was just like another gear. And I got to see him up close more. So I like Champ a lot, though. Yeah, well, again, we saw it in different eras too. You'd have been more enthralled with Dale Green if you got to see him what he meant for Washington. As great as they were on the front, Dale Green was something else. And he ran back kickoff returns to punts too. Was incredible talent. That's gifted speed on him. Troy, because I don't know if it was the hair or if it was him that covered all that ground. I've never seen a guy who could jump across lanes and just be everywhere. He was like a wild banshee. That cat was unreal. And Dawkins was a bad boy, could hit you, but Troy Palmer was like, he was everywhere. He's probably the baddest Steeler, not part of the 70s steel curtain. Just keep it 100. I hold Troy in that regard. Yeah. But no one is going to really, unless you're a diehard football fan, no one's going to talk about those two. I like them both. That's what I'm saying, because his hair would be on the left. His eyes would be on the right, and then his body would just I never seen anyone disrupt so much on the line like him. That's why he get them hair commercials with Mahomes and all that. He was a character and he got everywhere. I mean, he was all over the field. He was a bad dude. And all due respect, TJ Watts, because you always throw him at me. But Troy's the only dude I've seen the last 30 years who would belong on that steel curtain team. Because he fit that Steeler for real. I mean, he was something else, y'all. All due respect to Rod Woodson, but Troy Polamalu, man, that dude was crazy. He was perfect. He was that dude. He was that dude. He was that dude. What you just said is exactly how I feel about him. And I don't say that about a lot of people. I don't say that about a lot of people because everybody can't cover a lot of line like that. Safety blitzes cover you, do things. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And he didn't outwork him. That's why I hold him in high regard. You did not outwork him. You may have been better than him, but you weren't going to outwork him. Yeah, Simeon Rice was nice, but Troy was something else, y'all. You don't get guys like that every day. 82% saying no. Okay. I don't think this is going to, I don't think this poll is going to really, yeah, no, I'll come up with another one tomorrow. It's going to do good, but I got to take Ed Reed. Ed Reed covered a lot, man. Ed Reed was a bad dude. Bad dude. Again, and he won championship. Man, look, I like Brian Dawkins a lot, but when you put him against certain people, especially when cats were like fixtures on a championship team, and Ed Reed, he was that business. He was that business. He was that business for me. Michael Irvin, come on now. He won championships and he was big. He was the best offensive force on that Cowboys championship team. Fitzgerald just never had an opportunity to play for a great quarterback and in championship situation. It may have been different, but if I'm going by big cash money, I'm going with Michael Irvin. He was bad in college and he was bad in the pros, and he won. And that's what it comes down to. And he was a better overall receiver. But I do like Larry Fitzgerald. Don't get it twisted. It's just that who you're asking him against. More impressed with Kurt Warner. Breeze got better stats, but Warner, considering where he came from with that offense he had in St. Louis, and he did get to back Super Bowls. He went to 3 Super Bowls. Remember that, with 2 different teams. So I got to give it to him over Breeze, even though Breeze is the better quarterback. But if you ask him who I take Kurt Warner. Because Breeze had better opportunities with the Chargers and with the Saints, and he only got 1 Super Bowl to show for it. Warner actually came up big, if you think about it, because he was considered washed with the Giants, and he goes to Arizona, and for a couple of things was in that Super Bowl. So think about it. And Breeze, they each actually had each other's career in a lot of ways. But Breeze is going to be considered a better quarterback. But Warner moved me more. I thank you for that question because I usually don't get asked that one, but that's a good way of me putting it because, again, don't let the stats always be the dictate of everything. Yeah, Breeze is the better quarterback stat wise, but who moved me more? Kurt Warner. What he ended up doing because he did get the two Super Bowls. Breeze had opportunities and he underachieved in some ways. Cats like him and Aaron Rodgers, there's a few of them. Because they got a ring don't mean I'm impressed. They had a lot of opportunity. Okay, I got 5 more minutes before I'm gonna roll up out of here. So let's keep talking. It's a good questions coming in. Thank you, Ted. That's a great question. And if I remember that question in the future, I might make it into a video. That's one of them back burners. Appreciate everybody that's coming through on the view tip today. Appreciate you. I know it's a Sunday and I hope everybody's having a good day. Hope you're staying warm. Depends on where you are, what your weather is like. So glad that you came through. Again, I'll be back on early tomorrow. This is just like a warm up today, but I wanted to talk to everybody that was live and appreciate when it came through. And I got them on for a couple of minutes. I gotta get myself ready for the evening. But I love the college football this weekend. There was some good games: Clemson, SMU, Oregon, Penn State, and then Texas and Georgia. Yeah, I know he is, but that's not why I not picked him. See, I'm gonna tell you something. You be whatever you is. I'm going by he was a better quarterback than Warner, talent wise. But Warner moved me. Warner suspect low key himself, if you must know. But that's another video, another day though. Yeah, because he can get more notoriety if you go to Ohio State. Sorry, but you remember when old boy was coaching Oregon back in the day and he went to the Eagles? Because Oregon is way up there in the bushes for a lot of people. You're not gonna get the same. Warner was better in terms of what he did, commanding how far he got. Breeze had better stats. Breeze actually was more statistically was better. Yep. Old Chip Kelly. And he got up out of Oregon, he went to the Eagles and didn't do nothing in NFL. I like Warner more, but Breeze had a better career. That's all I'm trying to say. So I was asked the question and I picked the guy based on what I liked. But who had the better career was Breeze. That's not up for discussion. Because Breeze was, the stats. And he padded nicely. He did. And that's why they got into it. And Deshaun Jackson was not one to back down. That's why when he put the Minister Farrakhan video up, the NFL clapped on him like he was Nick Cannon. I remember very well. And D Jack ain't one of those kind of docile brothers. But they did slow him down, though. They do. Don't get it twisted. Yep. Oh, yeah. Here's Sean Payton and, you know, but Breeze, Breeze for his size, that's why he'll get a pass and what he overcame. But they still underachieve in New Orleans. So he was great and he's also overrated. Warner, what I would say would be in the very good, I say in the good to very good class. Of course, you're supposed to. That's what you're supposed to do. If he didn't, nobody else was gonna say nothing because we know them coaches and their staff ain't gonna say nothing because they would just assume look the other way. So anyway, appreciate everybody coming through today. I will be back on earlier tomorrow, so be on the lookout. I will be on by probably about 3 or 4 hours earlier than I was today. Everything goes right. Just wanted to check in because I got ready to get my football thing going. And it failed. Appreciate everybody. It should be. I expect it to be. Looking for who's on the buys and everything. So, and I'm gonna get ready to run. Appreciate you. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free, stay true. I get ready for these games, and I will be back with more commentary. And I probably might do that Kevin Willis one. It should always be. It's just like with the music business. I'll answer this before I go. Just like how I look at music artists, I can only go by your art. I can't go by your personal life because a lot of it is PR. Actually, a lot of it's the same if you think about it. Um, people got their biases. People got their agendas. Owners got their biases. They got their agendas. The owners aren't held to a moral contrast. So how come the players and the coaches, how aware they are? The owners do some of the most scandalous stuff you can imagine. If a quarterback did what Jerry Jones did or what um, Robert Kraft did, they would be ran. People would go all at their business. So you got to have standards for all of it, but it should be separated. That's because we don't know their personal life. I do know that, like any form of entertainment, that includes sports, music, movies, etc., politics too. They have PR. They keep butts covered more than you know. They say you what they want to tell you. They tell you what they want to tell you. A lot of these things you don't know. So just keep that in mind. It's always a machine at work. And I don't believe that the two worlds, because I don't know nobody. So that's my thoughts. And I've always lived by that credo with that. I don't know these folks, so don't act like you gonna know. Don't act like you shocked if you find something. Okay, for what he did as a coach, he should be. But what happened otherwise, he knew. But Penn State knew, and so did college football. They knew. They knew about Jerry Sandusky. They knew about all that. I'm gonna get ready to go though, but they already knew about that whole thing. He was an all-time great coach, who, by the way, allowed some behaviors to go on because it was boys will be boys kind of thing, unfortunately. And see, but think about it. Notre Dame's got stuff too. Think about it. They do what they want to do. Everybody has always been sanctioned in college football because college sports is a microcosm of society. And when all these schools get sanctioned and they get in trouble, they always got to get something stripped. Why is that? Because they all been violating something. Think about it. But he was a great coach, though. But he also knew what was up. And why they take a statue and act like they're different when they won. They all in it. They all are in it. All right. I'm out. Peace the best. Stay safe. Stay blessed. I will be back tomorrow. We will rap more tomorrow. Got to go. Peace out. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. Stay blessed. I'm out. Peace.